When will One Piece end? Well, I have an answer for you, but I am not sure if you are going to like it. One Piece is currently set to end with chapter 1350, which at our current rate of publishing should be expected somewhere in the year 2032. Those are both big numbers, the chapters, and the year they seem pretty outrageous, but there is a pretty undeniable logic to this conclusion, and this logic comes courtesy of Mr. M, who has put together a shockingly compelling argument for this to be the case, which serves as the foundation for this video, and his work will be linked in the description. Now let us address this right from the get-go. One reason why this sounds immediately outrageous is because it contradicts the words of series creator Oda. However, nobody is better at contradicting Oda than Oda himself in 1997. When first starting the series, Oda originally planned for One Piece to run for 5 years, and by the end of that 5-year period, we had started Skypiea, and it was clear that things were not ending anytime soon. In 2004, Oda told his wife and former Nami cosplayer that he would finish One Piece in 10 years. But 10 years later, by that point, we were in early Dressrosa, and the series again was not ending anytime soon. Although, funnily enough, in 2009, around the time of Impel Down, and Marineford Oda was on his greatest high or greatest low, depending on how you look at it, and he said in an interview that One Piece would probably never end. Then in 2012, Oda got a bit more indirect with his answers and said that One Piece was 60% done, which sounds pretty on point until 2016 when he revised that number to 65% finished, meaning that if 4 years continued to account for 5% of the story, then One Piece would not be over for another 28 years, with the final chapter being published in 2044. Thankfully, in 2018, Oda revised this number to 80%, having had a very productive 2 years, apparently cramming 15% of the story in there. Meanwhile, in 2020, Oda got a bit sick of maths and stated that One Piece would end in, I do not know, 4 to 5 years. And then in 2022, the most recent statement, he doubled down and said that he was aiming to finish the series in 3 years, all of which takes us to an endpoint of about a year from now, and that is not even close to true because the final War Saga has only just begun. But the reason why I took you through all of that is to say that Oda's words cannot be trusted. However, this is a case where his work speaks for itself. You cannot trust what he says, but his work is shockingly consistent and reliable, and it will give you the answers you seek. However, we miss these answers because of a point Mr. M brought up, being the very real idea that too many readers obsess over exact numbers. And I do agree with this because I think that zooming in too close does not allow us the peripheral vision to see the bigger picture. For example, a lot of people profoundly believe that Dragon would appear in chapter 1100 purely because his first appearance was in chapter 100, and the number 100 is kind of like 1100, so it is guaranteed to happen. And then when it did not, people were convinced that it would be 111, and when that did not happen, it was going to be 112, and so on and so forth. And now this has evolved into one of my favorite running gags in this fan base, where each week disappointed Dragon fans hope that this mate is finally Dragon's time to shine before inevitably crossing the chapter number off. That is a case of using numbers to make bad predictions. And in his video, Mr. M also highlights another one of these cases, which I referred to as coincidental numbers, such as the frankly crazy instance where Gear 2nd was first showcased in chapter 387, and Gear 4th first appeared in that exact reverse number sequence, 783. Stuff like that is pretty cool when it happens, but Oda is not fixated on it, and he certainly does not plan them out to this sort of detail. And when we look at the bigger picture again, things become startlingly clear. And so I will now take you to the pattern that Mr. M has noticed post-time skip, which is that every major piece of story fits very cleanly into an increment of 50 at about chapter 600. The post-time skip begins at about chapter 650. Fishman Island ends, and Punk Hazard begins at about chapter 700. Punk Hazard ends, and Dressrosa begins. Dressrosa then runs for about 100 chapters from chapter 700 to 800. At about chapter 800, Zoo begins, and from 800 to 900, Oda fits in the Zoo arc and the Whole Cake Island arc at about chapter 900. Whole Cake Island ends, and Wano begins. Wano then stretches about 150 chapters to chapter 1050. I thought this was a really good way of breaking it down, because it again made me think about how much we zero in on precise numbers too much.